tuned in to the 2-Minute Warning, a live stream community conversation pertaining to social and political issues and how we can collectively resolve them. Powered by the Westside Gazette.
Good evening and welcome to the 2-Minute Warning. My name is David Wright. I'm your co-host tonight, sitting in for our dear brother Perry Busby, who's going to be with us, joining us shortly. But again, welcome to the 2-Minute Warning, powered by the Westside Gazette, the oldest, boldest, blackest family-owned newspaper in Broward County. And with me is the editor of that great institution, Mr. Bobby Henry.
Man, they always giving me all kind of new titles. It's always good. Good evening, everybody, and thank you so very much for joining us. And we know it's the holidays, and you could be doing a whole lot of other things. Probably getting some shopping out the way and getting yourself ready for Kwanzaa and Christmas and other holidays. So we're just thankful that you decided to join us. So we're going to try to entertain you for the next 55, 60 minutes. And hopefully you'll get a chance to gain some knowledge and perhaps even question some of the things that we do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. And speaking of this type of Yuletide season, this season where we ask people, have they been naughty or nice?
Oh yeah.
Naughty or nice?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we want to jump right off into it or just we're gonna do something different.
We just want people to know the theme for the show tonight, and absolutely, because we saw something real nice last weekend.
Oh yeah,
and I think we have a special guest gonna come on and give us a little backdrop on that. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
On that football game.
The football game.
Yeah.
The football game. Who? FAMU.
HU.
So so we got somebody who's gonna come on and talk a little bit about it. As a matter of fact, if you read, you can read him weekly in the Westside Gazette. As a matter, he's our sports editor, and he has a whole lot to say, both from the sports perspective and that from a social. I wonder if I can make up a word tonight.
Sure, you can.
Let me try. From a sociological, sports fanatical point of view. How about that?
I like that.
Okay. So if we can, let's see what the retired English teacher and a prominent coach from Broward County who has coached some superstars, Mr. Sylvester Nooney Robinson. Come on, Nooney.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
All right.
Yeah, we hear you quite well. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me, Brother Henry and Brother David. It's my pleasure to be on. I do have a perspective on sports that I try to share in the paper. I don't always talk about statistics. I give a viewpoint that I think is important. I think a lot of people agree with. But you were alluding to a couple of things. First, the Celebration Bowl between FAMU and Howard University.
That's correct.
I was completely taken aback and mistaken in my analysis before the game began, because I assumed, based on my observations, that FAMU would annihilate Howard. But everybody knows now that was not the case, and I had to regurgitate and retract and apologize to the Bison Nation, because they have really an excellent football team. They had a somewhat of not a great record. I think their season record was 6-5, but they played some really tough opponents in the beginning, FCS and FBS opponents, and so that really kind of gave them that mediocre record. But when they played FAM in that ball game, they gave FAM everything they could ask for. FAM had to regroup in the second half and realize that they were playing a tough opponent who wanted to win that game. But thankfully, the best team won. But again, I want to congratulate the Bison Nation and also FAM for being champions of the Black college football.
Mhm. And Nuni, you have this unique knack about covering your sports, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that it's not all about statistics. It's about what we don't get a chance to perhaps see or read about from that perspective, and we want to thank you for that. Now the other bowl that you had an opportunity to witness that came to Fort Lauderdale, that bowl, what was it? The Beach Bowl?
Yeah, it was called the Florida Beach Bowl, and it was a bowl game that was visualized and conceived by a young man named Robinson. I think his name was Vincent Robinson. He was a graduate of Alabama State University, and I found out recently that he was also from Miami. I think he went to Edison High School, but he wanted to highlight Black college football, those schools that had good records and were qualified but did not make the playoffs. And so he partnered with constituents and stakeholders in Broward County and other areas, Palm Beach and Dade, and came up with the Florida Beach Bowl. The game was played on December 13th at Dry Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, which was the old Lockhart Stadium. And the game featured teams from the SIAC and the CIAA. The SIAC representative was Fort Valley State University out of Fort Valley, Georgia, and the the CIAA representative was Johnson C. Smith from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I was concerned about the weather being a factor, but as it turned out, we prayed to our good Lord that they would allow this game to be played, because I think it has impact in the future. But the game was played and Fort Valley prevailed 23-10. But I think more important than the score itself was that the game was actually played. The vision became a reality, and because of a lot of people. So there were a lot of people who made it possible, including the city of Fort Lauderdale. But what I found out recently, Bobby and David, was that Dry Pink Stadium and those responsible did not really partner with them, because they charged the sponsors or those who Mr. Robertson, who conceived the idea, an exorbitant amount of money to have the game at Dry Pink Stadium, which was, if you're going to be a partner, then you partner and you make it so that it would be feasible and reasonable, and it would not be as financially costly. But that was not the case. I think they ended up paying like $300,000 just to play the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So other than that, it was a really great experience.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Mr. Rock.
So they're really
Coach Rock.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Coach. I apologize. So when you said that, I immediately thought about the pastor of our church making a plea from the pulpit. I didn't know to what extent that plea was for. But if you're telling us and our listeners and viewers that the relationship was not one of how do you say it?
Amicable.
Of mutual benefit for everyone. So maybe we ought to, those who supported this Beach Bowl and its sponsors. I know Chris Smith was a sponsor and a graduate of Biddle College. I'm going back now when it was Johnson C. Smith, before it was Johnson C. Smith. And so maybe we ought to get together with those ministers, the same ministers who made a plea from the pulpit that we support this activity. That being the case, then we need to come together. And Brother Robertson, I hope that you're hearing and paying attention of who your supporters truly are. Now I'm not going to throw any shade. I just hope that we realize the power that we have collectively, and those who trying to make a dollar off our backs, then we need to be more proactive about who we partner with, who we get in the foxhole with. So I would say that we reconvene, Brother Robinson, with people who are sincere about what you're doing, and not just coming along for the ride. And I'll just say that. Okay.
Well, Bobby, I think that 90% of what was done was really successful. But if you're thinking about a partner, you're thinking about somebody who wants to enhance the relationship and enhance the experience. And I'm not sure that was necessarily the case if you considered the fact that it probably could have been cut in half the amount that was charged, if indeed that was the case. And that's what I heard from reliable sources. But it was a great experience. The bands were fantastic. J.C. Smith's band was really small, but they were really entertaining and precise. And Fort Valley's band probably reminded me of the Roar at Florida Memorial. So, our culture insists that we have great entertainment along with these football games. So it was.
Yeah, since you mentioned the Roar, since you mentioned the Roar, right?
I sure did.
Well,
Yes,
at Florida Memorial University is the national champion with the Battle of the Bands. So who would have thought that? So we got some stuff working here in South Florida, man.
Yes, we do.
We got to get it together and communicate more.
Absolutely. But I thought it was a great experience, the entire thing, and I pray that it continues, even if it doesn't continue in Fort Lauderdale, at least in South Florida, because I was going to say that it really mimicked the Pioneer Bowl, which ended in 2012, and my alma mater, Tuskegee, was involved in several of those, and it involved actually the champions at the time. So it's something that we can really see in the future occurring. And I just want to say that the coaches were impressive. Both coaches from Fort Valley and J.C. Smith were outstanding young coaches who really cared about their kids. And one coach said that they were so proud to be a part of this experience because they were one of 4 institutions that HBCUs that were still playing at this time. So I just thought that was an outstanding point to make. Yeah.
Well, very good, Coach Robinson. I see that Hester Samuels, she's commented. I don't want to just assume, but Miss Hester, so you attended Biddle?
Actually, she's Flomo, but I think some of her children attended Johnson C. Smith. Yeah. Okay. But being that, you would definitely know the history.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before you go, Coach, is there anything else that sports wise you want to comment on? And we're going to do this every show. You are the new addition. So.
Brother, you must have been reading my mind because I did want to touch on the Dolphins briefly. I'm a Miami Dolphin fan. I've been for a long time, even though, it's been kind of difficult because they can be disappointing. But I just wanted to say, and I don't know if the other fans feel the same way, but we have a really good record. We're 10-4, but we really haven't beaten any really good football teams yet. If you look at our won-loss record, our wins have come against teams, one team with a 500 record, and the rest of the teams that we defeated have a below 500 record. Overall, I think it's like 45 wins and 95 defeats. So we haven't really proven anything yet, but we have a chance to do that against the Cowboys coming up this week, and then against Baltimore, who is going to play the 49ers this week, and they are actually considered the 2 best teams in the league, Baltimore in the AFC and San Francisco in the NFC. And then we finish up with the Buffalo Bills, who annihilated us in Buffalo early in the year. So the Dolphins have a chance to really prove themselves. And I wrote in the paper that I consider I'm going to look at the glass as half full because I think we can win all 3 games and actually go to the Super Bowl. And so I just wanted to end on that note.
Yeah, and coming from a coach who, as a matter of fact, one of his players was just inducted into the Hall of Fame at Florida A&M University. So it's not like he's just speaking from a couch coach perspective. He's speaking from a legitimate coach's perspective. And I know there are many other Coach Robinson that you have had your hand on who have achieved success in the arena of sports, and we thank you.
I thank you for the opportunity, and we'll try to make it happen. Okay, we'll try to come up with information that will be interesting and informative and helpful to our listeners.
Thank you.
And Coach, I just want to say thank you for your input. You spoke like a true Dolphin and wishful thinking in the month of December, and looking forward to having you back on the show.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll see. The proof is in the pudding, right?
That's right.
Yes.
I see we got Rachel Johnson joining us tonight. Good evening, Rachel. Good evening, everybody. So
did you want to bring our brother on? He's kind of been hiding in the background back there.
He's one of the originators of the 2-minute warning shows. He had some duties he had to perform before coming on tonight. So if you would, Mr. Perry Busby, what's happening there, man, on the other side of the world? Perry, we can't hear you.
Hear me?
Okay. Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, I said no. I know. Y'all kept me backstage, y'all Dolphin fans. That's all good. I said I love Coach Robinson, and I respect his football pedigree, and but as much as I'm a Cowboys fan, I do have to agree that the Dolphins really do have a good chance of beating the Cowboys. Just because I know, like you Dolphins fans, I know what heartbreak feels like too.
Yes, you do.
So, and I would like to hope that we get there, but I think the Dolphins are on a much better track right now, I think, than the Cowboys are. If the Cowboys can find themselves, and I think that they're very similar teams because they have winning records, but not very good winning records against winning teams. So this one, I think, will be pivotal. Like I say, I think we'll see. Okay. But kudos to Coach Robinson. I really love hearing his insight on football, and say he's had his hand on many athletes. So it's always good to hear a good coach.
If the Dolphins don't get any further, I'm going to remind us that we had an opportunity to make history by scoring the most points in an NFL football game, and for whatever reason, we chose not to do it. So if we don't make it past the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, I might get a T-shirt made saying you should have took the opportunity when you had it to make history. So, no.
Well, come on. I mean, you're talking about the Miami Dolphins.
Kill a mosquito with an axe.
You're talking about a perfect season. I mean, what other records do you need?
With all of them.
Okay.
And David, you mentioned that. I was just looking. I have a small Coca-Cola with the Coke still in it of the undefeated season.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, y'all. Who's been naughty and nice?
Well, Perry, obviously he's coming on late, so obviously he's been a little naughty. I want to hear about it. What's going on your end of the world, man? We got a lot of stuff going on.
Oh man, it's it's a lot of naughty stuff going on this end, and again, like immigration. And especially with the recent decision by the governor in Texas, and you know, I was having discussion with some, and immediately when he says that, most people will uh, get the sense that he's talking primarily about our Hispanic brothers and sisters being under attack. But um, according to current records, uh, those coming through the southern border, there is a huge population of African and Haitian migrants that are now making entry through those ports, as well as Russian and Ukrainian migrants who are coming through there, and South Americans.
Yeah.
And so, let's not look at that as though giving policemen wide berth to just pick up somebody and say you're a migrant and you're here illegally, and that not affect just Hispanics now.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
so, yeah, so I do hear that there are some civil rights groups who have put together some issued travel warnings as well for the state of Texas now.
Oh, so now we got two states with travel warnings.
Mhm.
I guess we better get our. What was that card we had to have to go from place to place? Whoa! I guess it's
Yeah,
time for us to get our travel card out now, huh, boss?
it
But
is scary
Perry,
when you think about it, though.
Mm-hmm.
and Perry, I'm hearing the same thing, and we're finding that they're not just our Hispanic brothers down there at the border, as you said, Africa, Venezuela, Russia, and Ukraine.
Yeah,
It's a variety now, and it's truly a humanitarian effort now too, because the conditions, the weight, the walk, the dehydration, people falling out and passing out, and the emergency units now are overwhelmed. Uh, so I, I don't know what else to say about your governor in Texas other than it's a tough situation, but you got to pull the resources from the federal government. The federal government is the body to
yeah,
basically adhere to that, and
yeah. Well, and like I say, from this side, you get to hear, and I've had the opportunity to talk to a few people related to Border Patrol, as well as I was saying, there's a with the closure of a recent border in between Tucson and Baja California, which is always a popular uh, vacation spot during this time of the year. That border that with that border being closed, it has almost decimated this city's business and economic because people are not coming there because they're either having to drive some, way out of the way distance to get there. Uh, but when you hear them talk about the federal government, they speak from from the mindset of, well, we don't want the federal government to just come in here and just make a, a sledgehammer decision when really there's more of a scaffold approach that can be used. But because of lack of resources and lack of uh, intimacy to understand, then you get these lopsided, responses. And I think also I'm kind of as I get a sense of it when you talk to the people related to the Border Patrol, they aren't hard-hearted people. As one guy informed me, their whole mission this summer was more of rescue
Mhm.
because of the extreme heat and people's desire to take on extreme risks to come into America. that their whole intent was really about saving lives, not about trying to put them in camp.
Perry. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Okay, that behavior must have changed because I remember specifically seeing Border Patrol people on horseback, dogging Haitians out. So, maybe the humane process, let me stop. Let me just say this. To those people who have passion and a heart for those who are less fortunate, there's some compassionate people out there. But when you have those people on horseback with whips trying to coerce people of color like cattle, then that's a different story. So I know. Yeah. It's two sides.
Yeah, and like I say, maybe, and like with every system, you have those of varying degrees of success and failure. And unfortunately, the pictures that did go out were of incidents that are in Eagle Pass. And Eagle Pass, which is in Texas, seems to be much more of a hostile border crossing than those, I think, more westward going toward New Mexico, Arizona, and California.
Okay. I can understand it. We're here to impart facts and bring some light on this stuff. So I appreciate it.
Remember the Alamo? So,
man.
So maybe that's more than just a slogan.
Yeah. And that's a good segue into something. I really want to say this. We've had a couple of shows and some articles in the paper that have really, I guess, raised the eyebrows or the feelings of those who caught the brunt of what has been said and what has been written. Now, I want to say this. I want to go on record as saying this to Mayor Cooper, to Sheriff Michael, to our school board superintendent, Pete B. Licata, and anybody else that feel that there has been something said incorrectly. You have the same opportunity to come on this show, and we can have that conversation openly and candidly, and let the viewers and the readers see for themselves what was said and what is actually being done. Mm-hmm. So you have the same opportunity, and we will put this in writing. And I'm saying this because of the most recent correspondence that I received from the communications director of the superintendent of Broward County Schools. Now, that communication came from an editorial that was written concerning an incident that there were some different sides or different perspective of what transpired through the whole thing. So rather than try to go back and forth in the newspaper, which nobody can win in that, you're fighting against the pen, you're fighting against a hell of an army. So we will extend to you the same opportunity, and please do not placate me about asking me to send some questions for the superintendent to answer, and in turn those questions go unanswered, but you use another tactic to try to get your point across. So rather than get my
let's clarify that you were asked to submit some questions to the superintendent.
That is correct.
And then those questions were submitted?
Those questions were submitted, and those questions were not answered.
But a different communique came back with those questions unanswered.
That's correct.
Okay.
and the manner in which the correspondence came back from the office of the communications director, the email sent was one of an unedited version of what he wanted to put out. So with the mistakes, the grammatical mistakes, and any other edit, I published as I was asked if I would publish his response in its entirety, of which I did. and so it showed a human flaw of which we all have. And I did it. But I also published the questions that I wanted to have answers to that alluded to the situations that was first addressed. So we didn't get to the meat of the subject because those questions were not answered. So.
And all of this goes back to the functionality of our school board and how functional they are, and is it hindering the education process here in Broward County. And I think it's important that some of those questions are answered, because it talked about nurturing and fostering some type of cohesiveness there at the board. Is that correct?
You know, when we are in leadership, we're going to get a whole lot of disagreements. Everybody's not going to agree. So to have hard questions presented to you is expected. We don't use therapeutic techniques to try to dodge a question and then want to point the finger back. You know, either we put on our big boy pants and stand up to the plate and say, look, this is what I did. I don't have to hide behind anybody. You know, I can tell you what I did and not fabricate the story or use somebody else to try to carry your water and then try to blame it on a technical situation when I have the information before me. So don't urinate on my back and tell me it's raining. Either we're going to play straight up or we're not going to play at all. So and that has been the case of what is happening in America, not only to Black people, you know, but to brown people too, you know. So,
and wow, that's quite a bit. I guess to respond to both those, just real quickly, Bobby. With regard to the superintendent, I mean, he did in my from my vantage point, you did what a politician did. And so in that respect, I'm not surprised. I mean, because I've seen, I mean, it's pretty common now for politicians to dodge tough questions. And so kudos for you for being a good politician. You know, and unfortunately for Broward, we end up more with a politician than a superintendent. You know, now if that's an unfair assessment, I'm only assessing it by the way you responded to an issue, because I've never had an opportunity to meet the superintendent. But to just blatantly avoid questions and then insinuate that the questions are have more of a racial undertone, I mean, clearly says that you do not understand Black folk, because Black folk go way out their way sometime to make shit sound like it ain't about race when they know that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So either put on your big boy panties and deal with it, because this comes with being a superintendent. You know, or just be willing to do you know, to be willing to listen to dissenters. Folk who dissent are not enemies. And I just think that, you know, we're kind of living in this time and age where, you know, to get asked a hard question, you automatically want to run to a buzzword as though every black person trying to ask you about your race, which was not the issue, because you named more than one school board member. So evidently it was not just about race. So if you're going to deal with the whole of thing, and superintendent, you're not going to get away from race. Not in a school district like Broward with the makeup. You're not going to get away from it. So, I mean, I'm just saying, as you said, I mean, I think the intent was to address the issue. I mean, we're still sort of in the early stages of a marriage in some ways. I mean, you sign contracts and agreements, and now everybody who signed the agreement want to make it look like they had good sense. So,
Maybelline, Judge Maybelline,
so man,
divorce court.
and I'm just saying, the people just saying, man, y'all just get y'all shit together. That's all.
And Perry, you hit the nail right on the head. We all are human, and that's where I think the problem lies in the fact that we all are human, but there are those who don't want to accept the humanality of others. There are those who want to sit high and look low and say that they're the ones who command or make things happen. It's Trump's way or DeSantis' way or Abbott's way or whomever that is contrary to the people. But God dog it, if the people don't stand up. Now we can't. It's difficult, and I'm going to say this. It's difficult for those who may have sat on the board of a commissioner, been appointed by a mayor or a commissioner to sit on different boards. And when you find yourself on these boards and you become inundated with the problems of the community and you bring it before the leaders, you do it over and over and over again and nothing happens. So you then lay yourself on the sword. And now all of a sudden, damn, where or who do we have to fight for the people now? And everybody, it seems like they just come out of the woodworks against you because you have been bringing the situation to the forefront over and over again, but there was nothing done about it. So in order to get some relief, you decided to go out and speak to a source where the community would be listening. And maybe, just maybe, in your zeal to fight for the people, maybe could have said things a little different. But because of the pain and the suffering that your people have felt, and the fact that you sit in position, there was nothing done. Now, all of a sudden, you are the problem. It's hell being a leader. So,
Yeah.
Perry, go ahead and say what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. We should expect some of this stuff to happen. Go ahead, Perry.
Right. No, I mean, and let's just be honest. That's always the risk of standing up. Is that you're going to get some pushback. I mean, and so, I listened to the Hallandale commissioners meeting this past week where they voted off one of our recent guests that appeared here, Ms. Terry Dillard. They voted her off in many ways based on conversations that we had on this show. Not only that, I learned some other things about about that in the process, and one of those things was just that uh, the relationship between Miss Dillard and the mayor, which I don't think anybody was hiding. The mayor, I think with any administration, you go to your allies and those people who you think will be beneficial to your administration to help you get things done. Um, I didn't hear the mayor refute that Ms. Dillard wasn't doing that. It's just that they felt that she said some things that they disagreed with. And I think if the 2-minute warning can be anything, and Bobby, you and I talked earlier about this. We definitely want this to be a place of open discussion. We're not trying to hear one side. We're not trying to ride with somebody over a relationship. Trust me, we done that.
We've been there.
Been there, done that, but no,
Got a
I
teacher.
don't have time for it. But we do want open discussion because, like I said, the mayor, who up until this point I think had shown some reasonable decisions, means some pretty good common sense by putting Miss Dillard there. And I'm back to my same point. Then how do you now tell me, oh no, that was a bad decision? Well, I mean, how many other bad decisions and how many can we just easily dismiss like that? And ultimately, I just think that you just took some stuff the wrong way. And I'm back again. That comes with leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing is what she said of such an offense that a person who you deemed as qualified to sit on this board, that this board can now function without, and sure the board can, but what not only what is the board missing, what is the community missing now by her absence over a comment or an opinion? Because the opinion was they needed to get rid of some people. That's an opinion. Once you get elected, you better get ready to hear somebody call you for your
For your job. Yeah.
Hold on.
So, I mean, so like I say, for me, it's just it's time out. We're expecting better of our leaders, elected, appointed, self-anointed. However you got there, if you're saying leaders, we want you to clean up.
Self-anointed.
Yeah. Check. Let's see what Miss Rachel Johnson has to say. Okay. Now Rachel is from the Faces of HUD, so she's been in the trenches. She's been fighting tooth and nail against government bureaucracy, city officials. She's been there. So Rachel says we cannot be afraid of pushback because it won't prevail when we push through on what we believe can bring change for the people, not these selfish politicians.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Miss Rachel, you can come on the show. You can start running.
Mm-hmm.
We've invited you several times to come on.
Selfish politicians.
Yeah. David, you went down to the meeting at Hallandale.
Yes, absolutely. I was there at the board meeting and the CRA meeting, and I got a chance to just kind of see that city of Hallandale Beach Diaz and their environment, so to speak. It's nothing like being there in person, seeing and hearing how they carry themselves in matters of governing. And again, these are some things that, like you said, Perry, what was that last term you said? And anointed themselves. Well, you can kind of see that there are some things, but again, in government, there should be checks and balances. And I did see some of that, some semblance to that in other governmental matters. But as you said, Perry, I was able to hear the tape today in reference to the vote. And again, in my opinion, it's one-sided as well, and it should make room for some type of rebuttal or at least a conversation before they can take a unanimous vote of such.
And I see Mr. Mervyn Wright has commented, and Mr. Wright says, Bobby, I was also voted off the board, also because of my comments, and you know, and the truth be known, it takes a conversation to make it happen. Now, and the people should be able to hear both sides of what transpired, you know, because it's a total different perspective, but the people should be able to hear that and voice their concerns before a decision is made, even though you might have put somebody in position. You know, because they disagree with you, you can take them out. Well,
it sounds like a form of silencing the noise, you know, and this is one of those communities that I guess Black people make up a small percentage of that community. Therefore, it seems like those anointed ones may feel that anytime there's an uproar, we have to kind of.
Before you say something, I really want us to have an opportunity to discuss an incident about a gentleman who was arrested right before that meeting. But that's a different story, but it plays a part of what transpired in this whole makeup. So maybe we can get Mr. Wright to come on and talk about that, and you know, because I think that's a significant part of that will shed some more light. I'm just saying. So that yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Bobby, if I'm not correct, the mayor has agreed to come. We just need to set a date. Is
okay. If we go back and read her comments as it pertains to the show, and verbally on a phone conversation, she's willing to come on, and she said she would, and as well as Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael didn't verbally say that to me, but the mayor did, and through a text he said he would come on as well. So yeah.
Okay. Well, great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The mic is open, or the studio door is open, please.
Yeah, it's open. Let's do this. And Mervyn said it would be his pleasure. Let's see if we can bring a little lightness to this show. All right. We know it's Christmas time.
What you mean? You getting ready to be nice?
Let's do this. We had the opportunity to witness, you know, what a labor union, ILA local 1526.
You know
what they do during the holidays. So if we can watch a little bit of this video, y'all, just to get us an idea.
Let me just show you what the president of the ILA.
Yeah, let's do the first one. Okay.
Now, who am I speaking with, please?
Alice Bynes.
Alice Bynes. So, what's going on here at the Longshoreman here?
We're having a Christmas food drive, food giveaway for our senior people in the community.
Oh, good. So, about how many people you think gonna come through here?
350 people.
Whoa. And what are y'all giving away?
Every year we give out hams, turkeys, but today we have pork shoulders, we have turkeys, we have collard greens, stuffing, canned goods. What else we got? Ice gallons of tea. I said collard greens.
I missed that.
we ain't gonna have no box without the collard greens.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is how long have y'all been doing this?
We've been doing this over 20 years.
20 years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Over 20 years.
Okay.
And we hope to God we can do 20 more plus that.
Okay, very good. So who else is right here helping you?
I have Miss Glendora Thames here.
What's happening? South Carolina, right? Good.
Yes. Yeah. He related to California.
Yeah. So
So I understand that your president is at another function doing something at
Yes, he's at the school doing a function right now. Filling in while he's gone.
Okay, very good. So, Ms. Barnes, what else would you like to say? Okay, now, just to bring another video on, I want to say this. You know, people have a tendency to look at presidents of unions as, you know, suit and tie and, you know, don't get their hands dirty. But I want to show you something. What this young man, Johnny Dixon Jr., the president of Local 1526,
yes,
what he's doing right now.
Let me just show you what the president of the ILA went when he's not on the docks, when he's not on business session. As you can see, President Johnny Dixon is here on the back of the truck. No, they like distributing food with him and Kennedy, administrator.
What's going on, man?
Everybody.
Sam, I am. Give me something. I'm gonna grab something.
Everybody. Everybody gives a hand. Again, this is 1526. Your president, Johnny L. Dixon.
Oh, Lord,
Jr.
yes, Sam. Oh, Lord.
Unloading the food.
Do it like we did in Sugar Bowl back in the day. We had to do it, too.
Mr. Dixon, what you got to say about this, man?
Hey, man, we make it do what it do.
Yeah.
Make it do what it do, man.
How many other union presidents get on the back of a truck and unload some stuff, man?
I don't know. But here we all the same over here. We all go get us here.
Okay.
We don't complain about it. We make it happen.
Well, how long you been doing this, Mr. Dixon?
Man, I've been in the industry since 1999, man. 1999 doing this here, man.
Okay, so ain't nothing new to hard work ain't new to you.
Hey, no, man, it's like riding a bicycle. You see all the guys jumping in.
All right, serving the community ain't nothing new to you.
No, sir. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, well, Merry Christmas, Mr. Dixon.
Hey, Merry Christmas to Mr. Bobby Henry.
Okay, that's a light note, man. That's what we do.
yes,
And that's what we should be about.
yes. You know, I have to chime in. My dad was a header in that local, so kudos to the ILA Longshoreman 1526 Fort Lauderdale.
So there you go.
Yeah, make us proud. You know, they really our unions, our dock workers didn't get the recognition they deserve, especially when we were under the pandemic and it was dire getting goods and services out to the communities. But they hung in there. Mask and all, they hung in there and they carried their weight. And so we owe them a great deal of gratitude for their services.
There was a part cut out there that you didn't get a chance to hear. I was talking about how that local was family oriented. You know, I mean, there was nothing that local wouldn't do for the community. And it has always been that way. I mean, you know, say what you want to say. Those longshoremen, they worked hard, they took care of their communities, and they shared whatever they had to share. And that was
Amen.
Man, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Yes.
And yeah. So
I'm a proud product of our local. Yes.
Okay. Perry, what does longshoremen over there in Texas do besides try to rustle some cattle up?
Yeah, no, as a matter of fact, the head of the Port in Beaumont, the Longshoremen's Union at Port in Beaumont, recently passed away. A good friend of mine, he was 2 years older than I was. Steve Holloway was one of those guys. He started working on the docks because he was able to get a fake ID that said he was 16. And started working there. I mean, he was the envy to some of us in high school because he was getting to work at the docks. And Steve was a muscular guy, and he was. Guys was trying to get built, bulk up and everything, and Steve was doing it on the slide, get paid at the dock. but he learned a lot and became the head of that union, and just a great loss down there, because he was, again, he saw it from a kid's eye and grew up in it, and
Mhm.
uh and didn't stray away. All of us that was thinking about going work at the port, we was only trying to do that for the summer because we was going to college.
Mhm.
That was
Mhm.
he, and he loved it. He found his home there. So I definitely appreciate uh, David being a product of it. It's something I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I learned today. Yeah, but it was always where you found community around those guys, uh, our neighbors who were in the labor community.
Mhm. And I can say this. Uh, I brought my wife's wedding band from working on the docks down in Miami. My college roommate, Ellis Canty, was the president of that union down that local down in Miami, and I was able to work ships, you know, and earn enough money, and I brought my wife uh, her wedding ring, and that was 42 years ago.
Yeah,
So yeah, the union has been a part of our life.
yeah, yeah.
All right, brothers, we at the top of the hour, so Perry, your closing thoughts, and then you, my brother.
Okay.
Hmm.
First of all, I just got to ask. Is this the last show of the year? I mean, we hadn't
Okay.
really said that, but
Before you go there, Perry, I see you want to read what Mr. Rowland said because his daddy was.
Well, no, that's
Good.
Ken. That's Ken.
It's Ken.
But that Chris Daddy was one of
Right.
the union presidents down there. But our dear brother, the musician, the lifeguard, the Mister
Everything.
Do It All, Mr. Ken Rowland has said, "Our time for action has come. Our presence is required at all community meetings in force. This also includes sitting in on our courtrooms and on our youth that are being incarcerated. We need to show up. They don't expect us to voice our opinions or shed light on what they are doing." Absolutely, Ken. Another pillar in the community, serves this community tirelessly. He has a lifeguard and CPR program where he goes around the country teaching people how to swim, how to save lives in the event of drownings, and just the simple CPR practice. So he's been nominated and awarded. He's well decorated in this field. So.
I met Mr. Rowland at an event I was covering for the Gazette when I was down there, and he was taking us through some CPR training. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, hello. Yeah, but yeah, no, man, in those 15 minutes, I learned quite a bit, especially being from. I think he was one of the first black lifeguards at Fort Lauderdale Beach. Am I correct?
No, but probably
He was trained by one. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was definitely trained by one. But when we talk about the the Hall of Fame, when we talk about the Hall of Fame down there,
well, he's a history maker now.
Yeah.
I cannot take that from him. And I'm sure Ken, when you said that, Ken said, "No, let me make that correction."
No, I wasn't trying to say that, but I remember hearing that.
Oh yeah.
About one of the first black lifeguards down there, and his kept through that.
He's definitely in the history books now. I can't take that from him. Yeah. But Perry, you were asking the question about, is this our last show? We were having a conversation and said, well, okay, yeah, let's Thursday, let's just take a break, and let folk rejuvenate and come back, and we'll come back the first of the year, and we'll kick it off with a bang.
Yeah. Okay. And so with that I wanted to know before I, figured out how I needed to close out, because, with this being the last show, definitely want to, of course, thank our audience for coming along. Some of you all have been with us from the beginning of the year, and those who come along the way. Definitely want to thank my colleagues and David. This has been a great year. Your presence has made the load a lot lighter. Uh, uh, not gonna say it wasn't enjoyable before you came, but you definitely have added more joy to this uh, to bringing this show to our audience every week, and I do look forward to it, and so this has really been a blessed year. It's been a year of change, and we had always been talking about what changes we was gonna go through on this show, and this year definitely brought us through some changes. I mean, some we hadn't anticipated. Me moving, Bobby now chairman of the NMPA, and so yeah, this is definitely a labor of love to bring it this week, bring it here every week, and so I'm just looking forward to next year. Because there's definitely more opportunity, more to talk about. Things are even more serious. And now we got to see. We might have to start calling this maybe the last 59 seconds of the game.
That's all right.
We're going to see. But
under 2 minutes.
So, yeah, so happy holidays. Thank all of you. Send God's grace, blessings to you. So, I do know that, while we all look forward to this time of the year, there are some families and some individuals where this time does not bring that joy. And so for those, I pray God's comfort for you. And that is, the reason behind this season, which is so cliche, and I hate to say it that way, but we hope that God's grace carries you through, despite what other forces may try to use this time of joy to bring about their so we keep prepared. And guys, I look forward to January. I know we got some good stuff heading up. Mayor Cooper, Hollandale. Look forward to seeing you. The chief of police, we hope to see you. This is an election year. As we said, our show is just not about Democrats or just talking to Black people. We talk about Black concerns and the concerns of humanity, first and foremost. And we talk to our elected officials or those who aspire to be our leaders. So if you're a Republican, come talk to us. You my representative. I need to talk to you. And guys, I see it's 7:00. That's our alarm because that's the next train at the 10:00. And God bless you. David and Bobby, go ahead. I'm gonna put us on the train for the live.
Well, again, thank you, my dear brother Perry. It's truly been a pleasure being a part of this great team. And again, blessings to all of our viewers. May your holidays be filled with joy, love, and peace. And looking forward to a gracious 2024.
Oh, you were short on that one. Okay. All right, then I won't belabor the hour either. But I do want to say it has been a year of joy and pain. It has been, moments where I really question who I am as an individual. And there were times when I had to bite my tongue, so much so that I could taste the blood in my mouth. But when you step in leadership, sometimes you have to do that. Miss Lumpkins, every chance I get to see your name come across the screen, it brings smiles to my face because of who you are and what you represent. Brother Boyd, your comments, sometimes you can cut deep, but it's what we need, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
And Terry, I want to say to you, you keep your head up. This struggle is just what it is. It's a struggle. If the mountain was made of glass and smooth, nobody could climb it. So we thank God for the rough spots and the crags and the cracks in the mountains that we can grip and hold on to. So those moments that we question ourselves are the moments that we need to be the impetus to push us forward. And I thank you. And I'm grateful for those who disagree with us. And I must say to our elected leadership, it's a brand new year coming. And we afford you the opportunity to come on and talk. Don't be scared. Don't do that. You're doing your community a disservice. If you cannot know who you are versus those of who you think we are and can't hold your own, then we don't want you on the program anyway. We want those who are willing to stand up for the people, because that's what we need. At this stage of the game, we need true warriors, those who are willing to stand in the gap for the least, the lost, the left out, the lonely, the disenfranchised, and those that are incarcerated. If you don't do that, can't do that, you need not be in leadership. So we thank you for every moment that we've had to be able to be on this show and to say some things. And at times we question ourselves. We truly do. And we have a conversation amongst each other. Man, should I have said that? How could I have said it different? Man, that's not what we're supposed to be about. But it's a growing thing. And if we're not willing to break the ground as a farmer does when he's planting his seeds to create that friction, then there's no need for us to be here. It is no need for us to carry the mantle of trying to move things forward if we can't stand the bruises and the bumps that we come face to face with. Now I'm going to say this. As the chairman of the NNPA, the National Newspaper Publishers Association, the over 240 Black-owned newspapers across the country, it ain't easy. It ain't easy when we have to speak truth to power. It ain't easy when we have to go before advertisers to try to get monies to pay our bills when our own listeners and readers don't support the cause. It ain't easy when we have to stand up and speak truth to power, but it is necessary. So whether you support the West Side Gazette, the Miami Times, the Florida Courier, the South Florida Times, the New York Amsterdam News, the Houston Defender, the Texas Metro News, whatever Black-owned newspaper you support, please support one. And do it. Make that your New Year's resolution, is to do that. All right? Now, I've said a whole lot, but I'm going to end it by saying this. We are because of you. So let's work together and getting these things done. God bless you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. And please, let's go into the new year with a new attitude about loving, helping, and respecting each other. God bless you and have a great night.